Hello Flosstube, it's Dawn, Frosty X Stitch, and it's the 20th of September, the day before my birthday. Welcome back, welcome to my channel. For those who haven't seen me yet, welcome back to everybody who's subscribed, watched my videos, and who is going to join me today. Yeah, it's my birthday tomorrow, and I wanted to quickly show you this is my birthday mug. It's my birth sign, of course, and it's a Danone mug. It comes from Danone. Danone is in Scotland, and it's not that big a place. I've been there. I've got a friend who's, I don't think she lives there anymore, but her parents still live there. They live in Deer Park. Deer Park. Just think about it. You live in Deer Park. Lovely. Anyway, this was the first mug that I ever got, and I got it from my uncle and aunt who live in Edinburgh, and I don't know why they gave it to me. It was a birthday present, I think, and I don't know how old I was. I must have been about 12 or 13, and I had started drinking tea, like black tea, so I think that's why I got my own mug. Before that, we just had mugs at home and you just use. Nobody had it. Well, my mum had a mug, it was her mug, but we just used what you had. And this was the first one, and it's going to be used tomorrow. Tomorrow's my birthday, so I'll be using that then. Today is more, yeah, this kind of day. And coffee. So my first mug is a tea mug. I can't put coffee in my tea mug. This is a coffee mug. Yeah. So, as I said, it's my birthday tomorrow, and in one of my floss tubes, I think it was number 3, I asked you to comment, just guess how old I would be tomorrow. And I know that I look a lot younger than I am. I'm used to that, but nobody got even close to my age. The person who guessed nearest is Sarah, Stitching Mummy. So, congratulations, Sarah, you've won. You guessed my age, well, not quite, but you said I would be 39. I am going to be 43 tomorrow. Yeah. Well, I think you're as old as you feel, and I'm going to celebrate my 33rd birthday tomorrow. 43, 33, who cares? Doesn't matter, it's only a number. So Sarah, if you could please direct message me and just give me your address, and I'll send you a little present from Basel. Something specific to my town, and you'll get that shortly. So, yeah, I don't mind talking about my age. It's not something that I consider very private or anything, because on most forms you have to fill in what age you are, and I'm not offended. If anybody would have said, well, you're 65, I wouldn't have been offended, because I know that lots of people can't really guess ages. It's difficult, and it gets more difficult, I think, the older you get. The only issue I have with age is if at the workplace, well, where I used to work, there were lots of men, not that many women, and if you have inappropriate jokes at a workplace, and that happened just a few weeks ago at my workplace where I am now. I was behind something, so they didn't see me, and we have about 3 people who are in charge, and you should respect them and the whole thing, you know, and he was telling a joke, and he's a lot younger than me. He was telling a joke to the very impressionable, even younger people working there, men, and the joke that he told was something that I consider inappropriate, for a workplace joke. It just doesn't belong there, and it doesn't belong there if the women that work there are my age and the men that work there are a lot younger. So yeah, the joke that he told was, why do women that are over 40 not play hide and seek anymore? Because no one would go looking for them. And that just is not okay for a boss to make a joke about that. And I just I heard it, turned the corner and said, well, I heard that. I'm over 40. And then I disappeared again. And he came later, a lot later. He came and he said sorry, and that he didn't really mean it. And I just said, well, I've worked at worse places with worse jokes, so I'm used to it. But yeah, he shouldn't have done it, and I think he knows it. But some people you just can't change. Anyway, now that you know my age, I can tell you a bit more about me and my life, as I haven't done that yet. I haven't told you what kind of work I do. I'm actually a machine draftswoman. Long name, don't know if you really have something like that. We did here in Switzerland, it's all changed now, and I think you don't quite make the difference anymore between a machine draftswoman that designs machines, somebody who designs buildings, somebody who designs bridges, or the whole thing is a bit different now. But I was trained, really trained to be a machine draftswoman, and I learned a lot more than that. I learned because when I started out, computers were coming up, and there was no way to get into computer business. You couldn't learn computer yet. There were no schools, there was nothing, and I knew that computers were something that were going to come up. So I decided to become a machine draftsman because I've got a very logical mind. I can visualize things very easily. I've got this 3D kind of mind, don't know. And it was something that my father suggested because where he worked, they had people like that. I went to look at 2 different jobs, and that was the one that I chose. And I actually learned a lot more than just machines. I learned to design trains, trams, buildings, whole chemical plants. And that's all not machine draftswoman. That's completely different ones. I did electrical wiring. I did all kinds of stuff. And while I trained, I had to go out into the different workplaces where you build stuff. I learned how to weld. I loved that. That was fun. It was great fun. Got sunburn all over there, but it was great fun. I learned how to build stuff. I can work with metal. I can work with machines. And yeah, it was great fun. It was fun. I was very scared before, but when I started off, and it was 8 months that I just went from one place to the next, and it was fun, and the people were good. They were really kind, nice, and it was good. Anyway, so I learned how to work on a different CAD, as a computer-aided design, 2-dimensional and 3-dimensional workstations. So I've learned all that, and I learned a lot more, and it was just somehow I just got into it. And in the last year that my training was 4 years, and you go to work, I think 3.5 days, and 1.5 days you go to school. And I did some further training there as well, which allowed me then to go to university in European countries, but not in Switzerland. Yeah, all a bit. Doesn't matter. Anyway, so in my last year of training, I actually, because it was always 2 of us per year, but the one who started off with me, he got into trouble with the police and he left. So it was only me, and that's why boss chose me to then. I started programming little apps. You didn't have apps when I did this, but little apps for computer-aided design, and I started programming those. And I just thought programming was very interesting. It was something that I don't know, my mind just hooked onto it. It was easy to understand. So I kept visiting England in my holidays because, like I said, my mum's English. I've got family in England, Scotland, Wales. I don't think I've got family in Ireland. No, I haven't got family in Ireland. I've never been to Ireland. Would love to go. But I've got them in Scotland, England, Wales. And yeah, so I used to go, for my holidays I used to go to the UK. That was just what I did. And while visiting a friend in Leeds, I actually fell in love. It does happen, apparently. So I was there for 2 weeks and then extended my stay for another 2 weeks just because I was in love and I wanted to stay there. And I then decided that when I would finish my training, I would go and study in Leeds. So I kept inquiring and I made a plan on how I could finance it, and yeah, my decision was made. I was going to go to Leeds to study. And then of course, yeah, it didn't work out and I changed and I went to Edinburgh instead, because Edinburgh is, I love Basel. I really love Basel. Basel is a beautiful town. It's got these old houses. It's got history. But Edinburgh is, I love Edinburgh. Edinburgh is just, it's my heart. It's just, there's so much history. There's so much feeling there. Anyway, so it's got 3 universities and I chose Harriet Watt University and I went to Edinburgh. And I started off in computer science. But as I said, I started programming already in my training, and the first year was the same programming language that I already knew. So I decided that could I move to the second year, because for me, coming from Switzerland, I had to pay something like $16,000 for 1 year, and that's only just the fees for the university. So no living costs or anything. And if you live in the UK, you pay about $1,100. So it's no comparison. So I asked if I could go to the second year and they denied it. So I switched to mechanical engineering, which is basically what I was. Machine draft formulas, mechanical engineering. And I did that, but I found out then that I actually knew everything already. Because you go to university when you're 16 in the UK, and I was 20 I think when I went to university. So I was older, I was a mature student, and I already had experience from work. So I knew everything that they were going to learn. So yeah, it was not good, and I was very lonely. I was living in a student accommodation with mature students and students from all over the world, but they were really there to just basically put your head down and study. And I've already worked and I love working, and studying just, I found out it's not my thing. I don't want to just put my head in a book and read and find out how stuff works by reading. I want to find out stuff by doing, and that's not what you do at the university. So I was in the wrong building. If I would have been with other young students, I found those in a pub, where you just, they laugh all day, they play jokes on each other, and it was just fun. But I was really lonely, and then I got an ear infection, a very bad ear infection, very high fever, and no doctor would come and see me, and I couldn't go out because I couldn't walk. You just lose your balance. I was sort of crashing into everything. Yeah, and they then cleared me to go back to university, but nobody told me that with an ear infection you're not allowed to fly. And because I was so lonely, I decided to fly back home, to just have 2 weeks at home with my parents and get back on my feet. And somehow it probably did some damage, and when I then flew back to Edinburgh, I had my first panic attack. There were some turbulences. I didn't mind flying, I loved flying, it was something that I really enjoyed. And I understand turbulences, I understand how I understand how to play flies, but I couldn't do it. I had a panic attack, and I just basically wanted to just anywhere, land, please. Just get this plane down on the ground. And I don't care if it's in the middle of the ocean, just go down. I can't stand it anymore. And I felt so helpless, and it was awful. And then I got to the university, and then I started feeling fine again. But every time, movement, like in a car, in a bus, anything that moved, set off my anxiety. I didn't know what it was. Nobody could help me. Nobody understood it. And yeah, it got so bad that I then had to leave university, and I had to get back home over Easter. And my neighbour in student accommodation, she came with me. She came to visit Switzerland, and that's the only reason how I got home, because I knew I wouldn't fly, so I came by train, and it was 22 hours by train. And as soon as the train started moving, I got a panic attack, and I was ready to get up and get out, and she just kept me in my seat, and that was 22 hours, and it was hell. But I got home, and then I decided I can't go back, and I didn't get any help. I got home, I went to my doctor, and he basically said, well, what you're experiencing are panic attacks, and you just have to live through them, they'll go away. Yeah, they didn't. I was untreated for 4 years. So I knew that I can't stay at home and do nothing, so I just took on computer-aided design work, any work, and I went from one company to the next. I moved just 3 weeks here, 4 weeks there, 6 weeks somewhere else. I made shitloads of money because they wouldn't employ me. They would employ me through a different company, so I had an hourly basis, and they paid me per hour, and that's a lot more than what you get if they would employ you. I could go into details, it doesn't matter. I learned very, very much. A lot. Like really a lot. I learned so much, and I learned how it is in different companies, how to work, hierarchies of what it's like, and how you get in there, and it was really good, except for anxiety. I couldn't do anything except work, because that sort of took my mind off anxiety, because it was like sitting there on my shoulder constantly, like a parrot, going, hey, anxiety, hey, panic attack. Hey. So I would have to try to focus on work, focus on reading a book while being in a tram, focus on something so that I wouldn't get a panic attack. I would get panic attacks about anything. It was awful. So in that time I then learned to drive, which actually is quite an achievement for somebody who's panic attacks. I also then decided to do some further training. I went to school for 2 years while I was working. So I had, I think it was it was twice in the evening, 4 hours after work, all of Friday and all of Saturday that I went to school. And I then was a software engineer, basically. So I then decided immediately to stop working for the company I was working for and go and look for work. And I found a very good company, and the company was called Obtree. And I think I was about 25 when I started there. I think was nearly one of the oldest people working there. And on the first day when I started, this person comes in, and I look at him and I say, "Hey, Luke, how are you?" And he says, "Oh, hi Don, how are you?" And we just stood there chatting, and he's one of the guys I used to meet at one of the pubs, bars where I used to go. And he kept chatting me up. And I just thought he's friendly, he's nice, and so I knew him. I would say hello, I would talk to him, so I knew who he was. 3 weeks later I found out he's the big boss. Him and his friend, they created this company. So, I knew the big boss. But that's the way it was. We were a big family. It was, everybody was like, we had hierarchies, but they were non-existent. It was one big family, and you could go and ask anybody any question. When you would go and get a coffee, everybody would get their coffee at the same place, and you would talk to each other. And there were the friends. We would go out, we would go for meals. If I wanted to know anything that's going on in the company, I would go for an evening meal with guys. Because they would not talk about company stuff at work, because then they were working. They would go for an evening meal at 8. I would go with them, and I would learn stuff just by being there. And it was great. It was really good, and I loved that company, and it was fun. And the work I had, it was just great. And I even then became a team leader. I had 8 people working with me, under me, whatever. I did all the technical documentation. I did all that stuff. I planned how to do programs, and it was good, and it was fun, and I wasn't treated like, oh, we've got a woman. I was accepted. I was one of them. That was really good. So anyway, the company grew because they were planning an IPO. Well, going and having, I don't know how you say IPO. It's when you go and have, oh crap, you know what I mean. No, you don't, but it doesn't matter. Anyway, to do that, they had to grow. So they bought one company, and that brought 80 people into our company. Most of them didn't work in the same building. They then bought a bigger building to show prestige, because otherwise we couldn't have an IPO. But they decided on the day that they should have gone, that they wouldn't do it. And we were then left this huge company that was sort of going nowhere. And it went downhill from there. And it was a bit of a shame, because the product that we had was really, really good. It was good. And one of the best. But yeah, we got bought by a German company that then got bought by a Canadian company called OpenText. And yeah, they started laying off people, and I think the 5th round or something, it was me. And by that time I was working from home due to anxiety. Yeah, that was not very good. My boyfriend at the time was working at Optree, so when I had a meeting he would drive me there, and after the meeting he would bring me home. I would have to take Xanax to get there, and it was not fun. Anyway, so I then got depressed. I finally got a new doctor. He decided that anxiety is actually something that you can treat, and he sent me to a psychiatrist, and she specialised in anxiety, and I would sit opposite her, have a panic attack, and she wouldn't even see it. So how could that work? It can't. So I moved from one therapist to the next, to the next, to the next. I didn't want to take any medication, but I then somehow decided I have to, because with the depression you can't get rid of a depression just like that. And one of the doctors found out that I've probably been depressed all my life, and just nobody gave me a diagnosis. And I had to go to a clinic once. That was wasted time, wasted money, wasted effort, everything. It hurt me more than it actually helped me. Yeah, so now I am on medication. I've got good medication. I was then as well, I had a good doctor who got me on medication, but didn't get me treatment actually. put my medication in that way that I could actually stay at home alone and work from home. And yeah, staying home with no purpose. I just started working from home for different companies, but I knew that sometime it would end, and it did. I was working for a company in Zurich. I'd never been to Zurich. Once my anxiety started, I haven't been to Zurich, and it's only an hour away by train. I've never seen that office, and I worked for them for about 2.5 years, but I could work from home. But staying home with no purpose in life, and then my boyfriend had to move. Well, he started working in Zurich. I decided that he should have a studio and stay there overnight and only come home at weekends, and it faded out. We were just living together, but not really living together, and yeah, so that ended. All my other friends moved away due to their jobs. Some of them even went to the States because you couldn't get anything in Basel. Others had families. You don't really, you get a husband, and then you don't want a single woman crashing your party when you have other friends with their new husbands. And then you have kids, and then I don't fit in, and yeah. And others could not deal with my illness. They just couldn't. They didn't know how to deal with me. Even though I was a normal person, you can talk to me. I would even talk about what I've got. But yeah, some of them just couldn't deal with it. And by that time it was so bad that I couldn't leave my flat. I couldn't leave my flat if I had to go out alone. I couldn't do it. And then I needed somebody to drive me. Or I would drive myself, but then I needed a car. I had my own car, but then, yeah, sometime then my brother took it over, and now I'm using his car at the moment. Yeah, and I had a very bad experience. I got some drugs, some medication that, I had suicidal tendencies, and I nearly had the same suicide death date as Robin Williams. And that was, I think, nearly the lowest point. I had lots of low points, but that was the lowest. And that was the first thing that I did. Went off that medication, because it was the medication. Because even in my lowest points, I knew I wouldn't kill myself, but the medication was so bad that I've got my tattoo because my life isn't over. It hasn't stopped. It's a semicolon. A new chapter had started, and it did. I got a new therapist who took me off those drugs, put me on my old drugs, my medication, and I now have hypnosis therapy sessions that I do, and that's the first thing that helps. I know hypnosis is something that most people think is the television thing where they make you, I don't know, be a sheep, jump on one leg. It's not like that. It really isn't. Hypnosis is the first thing that helps, and it stabilises me, and it's sort of putting the first layer on and the second layer where I can stand on top, and I know that I won't fall down again. I will fall a bit, but might just fall over, but I won't fall down. I won't go to the low point again. I won't. Yeah. So I've been building myself up. I then went to something called Reinleben, which is basically for people like me that need something to do during the day. At the beginning it was very good. I had a very good person there who was looking after me. He then got ill himself, and yeah, that all ended in disaster. I am on disability. I had so much money in my bank account that I could have actually bought myself a house. In Switzerland you don't actually buy houses unless you're really rich. We live in flats, apartments, whatever you want to call them. Some people buy their apartments, but that's also something that most people don't do. you just rent. You rent a flat or an apartment. I was going to buy myself a house in Basel. My parents have bought themselves a house in Basel. And that's why I saved my money. I earned so much that I saved money to buy a house. And that was a mistake. I should have basically spent it on cars, watches, clothes, whatever. I did spend money, but I saved it to buy a house. Being on disability, first, basically, until you get in, you use up all of your money. All my money's gone. Everything's gone. Completely gone. I have no money left. And I just knew that I have to find work. And it was so bad that I couldn't think, and I knew that I can't go back into my old job, and just my mind doesn't work. I can't read, I can't concentrate. And this Rheinleben place was actually going to move, so I knew I couldn't move with them. I can't do it because I can't go the distance. And I then found my own, I had to find something, and it should be a safe environment where I am. And it's a kitchen. I work in a kitchen. Basically what I do is I prepare salads. I'm a dinner lady. I serve the students that are there, and it's the worst job ever. I'm sorry, but it is. And no disrespect to any cooks out there, or any dinner ladies, but it's not for me. It really is not for me. I don't like cooking. I don't like kitchens. I hate the heat, and I'm stuck in a kitchen all day. And being somebody who comes from an office and is used to working with the brain, to then work manual labour and being treated like somebody who's not worth anything. I get paid about $3 an hour. So I'm cheap labour. But disability pays my company a normal going rate, so that they provide me with help, so that I then can go back into the big market and go and work again. Yeah, it doesn't work like that where I am. We get treated really badly. It's a disgrace. And yeah, I need to leave. I need to leave, and that's why I've been so off. That's why I was not feeling well the last few times that I made a Flosstube video. Because I go to work, I come home, and the only thing I want to do is sleep. And I know that I don't actually need to sleep. I sleep enough at night. But it's my way of flight. I don't have to live, I don't have to think, I don't have to be here when I'm sleeping. And that's why the only thing I want to do is sleep. I just want to go sleep. I get really, really tired, and I could just lay down and sleep for 2 to 3, 4 hours, get up, have something to eat, watch some TV, and go to bed. And that's not living. It's just not. And it's not worth it. And I'm just ready to leave, but there's no place for me to go because I'm limited. I need a car to get anywhere, and I can't even go that far. I can't leave Basel. I can't even go more than about 10 kilometres from here. So it needs to be a workspace that's near me and where I can go by car. The car belongs to my brother, and he wants his car back. So I basically just use his car to go to work, which means I can't use it to go out in the evenings. I can't use it to meet up with anybody. So I'm pretty lonely, and I don't have friends, and I don't go out, and it's not fun at the moment. Also, my parents, they never could really deal with having a daughter who's ill. And yeah, about 3 years ago we had a really big fight, and I decided that I have to break off contact with my parents. I miss them, but I cannot, it doesn't work. Every time I see them or hear them, I know that they just wanted to go back to the way it was before, and I know that that doesn't work for me. So yeah, they never supported me. They always said they support me and they're here for me, but when it actually came down to it, they never did. And now I've also lost my brother. My brother was my rock. I could phone him tell him anything. He would just listen and it would just sort of go away. He would not take it on. He would just listen and it just was fine. He didn't give advice, he didn't do anything, but now, yeah, he's got a girlfriend, she's a doctor. She thinks she knows everything. She doesn't know me. And yeah, he's not there for me either. So yeah, so no car means no life, no going out, no meeting new people, no fun, nothing new, nothing for my brain. So yeah, stitching saved my life basically. It's a hobby, it's the first real hobby that I've got that's not reading. And the stitching community, you've been so nice, you've commented and said so many nice things. I've got so many nice comments and people have tried to build me up and say there's something around the corner, and I know there is, and it'll be better, and I'll work on it, and I'll find a new job, and I'll go out and I'll meet new people, but it takes time. So yeah, I think I'm going to die lonely, a lonely old cat lady who stitches. Except I don't have a cat. Don't want a cat. But yeah, enough about all myself. Oh, 36 minutes. I'm really sorry about this. I hope you skipped through the boring part. Let's get back to stitching. Stitching now. Stitching. Okay. You saw my T-bones picture. That's fully finished. As you can see, it's creased and whatever because this is a very cheap IKEA frame, and it's got one of these slide-in things. So you slide it in there, and you have to use this because otherwise you can't stand it up or hook it or whatever. And you have to slide it in, and yeah, you can't get it, you can't lace it. There's not enough space. But I love this piece. It's just great, and in this frame, I put it in as a joke into this frame, but I love it. I think it suits the piece, and I see it every day, and every time I see it I just have to smile. This is perfect. You did such a good job there, Chris. Perfect. I love it. So yeah, I decided to stitch something that I've stitched for a friend in Ireland. I'm stitching it for myself at the moment. It's going to be I Heart Need Guinness. It's a small piece and it should be an easy and quick stitch, but I decided I hate Ada 14 count, which is this. I hate 14 count. I never liked it, but now I really hate it. That's why it's taking me so long, and it's only a tiny piece. But it's, I don't know. And I had problems with the coverage. I don't know if you can see it, but when I did it the first time, the black, like the outside and the eye and the outside of the glass is black, and that's DMC 310. And the coverage just wasn't good enough, so I decided to do it with 3 strands instead of 2. But all the others, and you can see here, this is dark brown, that's a different colour, and the coverage is so much better, even though it's not good, but it's a lot better, and that's 2 strands, and all the other stuff is 2 strands, just the black 3 strands, and it works. I'm happy with the coverage, but I don't like Ada 14 count. Stitches are too big. I don't know, just, yeah. Then I did something that I never actually thought I would do, or would have sort of had the idea. A friend of mine got himself a tattoo. It's not that big, okay, it's about this size. Got himself a tattoo here on his arm, and it's a sugar skull. And I really like it, so I took a picture and I made that picture into a chart. Now this is only going to be for me because I'm going to stitch it for him, and I've already started. That was my small start yesterday, I started, and I'm going to do it white on black, and it's going to be about, yeah, from there to there. That's about the size it's going to be. And I'm going to do that for his birthday, which is in December sometime. Yeah, it's December, yeah. So that's what I'm going to do. I've never done that before. I've never made a chart. I have one now. And I hope he'll like it. I don't know. But if not, I'll take it back. I'll keep it. Yeah. And as I said, tomorrow is my birthday. And P has this this Facebook group, Full Coverage Fanatics, and it starts tomorrow, and I'm going to start my train that I've really been looking forward to. I would have started it a lot earlier, but I decided to do it at my birthday start. It's an anchor kit, so it's got all the floss and everything with it. The only thing that I've changed, it would be 16 count Ada white, and I've switched it out to 18 count Ada cream. That's the only change I've made, and I start that tomorrow. Really looking forward to it. Been waiting for so long. Yeah. Then I think I told you that I got some lilac fabric. It's Ada. Yeah, it's 16 count, and I chose this. It's actually in a nicer colour. It looks a bit different in real life. Doesn't matter. I chose this as a background for another full coverage piece. I think you've seen this before. Mackenzie actually stitched this once, and I saw it in one of her Flosstube videos, and I fell in love with it, and I've got to stitch it. And they put this matting in, and it's a sort of purpley colour, and then they've got a gold frame around it, and I just thought, why stitch on cream Ada? That is what I always do. So I chose this colour, so I don't need matting, I just need a frame whenever I finish it or start it. I want to start it. We'll see. Sorry, I've got lots of notes today, so yeah. Then I want to start this, which was it's a free DMC, and it's leaves. And Sarah's Stitching Mummy is going to start that one as well. And I got my floss. I had to wait for my floss to start it. I'm doing this on white Ada. I wanted to start it this week, but somehow I'm turning out of focus. Hello. I'm going to start it in the next few days, just because it's got all this variegated floss, and I want to see what it's like. Should be interesting. Yeah. Then I showed you September Sapphire Fairy in my last Flosstube video in a clip. And I did not work on her again, even though I wanted to, but like I said, I was... Why am I not focusing? Hello? Camera. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, and I did this clip about because of the Krennic in its blending filament, and I wasn't happy with it. And Stitchy Bex, she sent me some what's it called? It's sorry, Rainbow Gallery, and it's sparkle braid, and it's actually, I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, it's like the Krennic that I showed, that I had for Poppy, which was number 4 braid, and it's like that braid, except that it's a lot finer. So I would say it's maybe a Krennic number 2 braid, and it's the same sort of texture, but it's a lot finer and probably a lot easier to use. I haven't tried it out yet. I only just got it, I think, yesterday or the day before. But thank you, Stitchy Bex. I'm going to try that, and if it works, I'm going to switch. I'm going to definitely switch. somehow the chronic blending filament is not working. Yeah, she also was very kind. Somehow now everything is going. Hang on. Yeah. She sent me a card of a man in a coat. I always thought that when I marry, I would marry a man in a coat. I'm not married, and I probably won't marry, and it probably won't be a man in a coat, but a girl can dream. Yeah, as it even says, a wee dream. And she was so kind, because I think she has the same sentiment as everybody, that can't travel alone, so she actually gave me a pattern. And it's a pattern of a coffee cup, and it is so nice. And I actually had something similar, nearly like this, on my wish list, which I now can take off because I've got a pattern. So I'll kit that up pretty soon, hopefully, and stitch that. Thank you for it. It was nice to get this. It's just, yeah, brightened my day. So yeah. Also, I wanted to show this already weeks ago. I've also got one of these books, stitching book. It's an embroidery mystery, and as McKenna said, that looks like her dog. It really does. Yeah, I've got a different one than she has, but it's the same dog. So, and apparently it's a really easy read, but like I said, I've been sleeping a lot. I've been watching Flosstube a lot, so I haven't started it yet, but I'll let you know what I think. It's probably a really easy read. I read different stuff otherwise, but I thought, why not try it out. Yeah, as you know, I'm stuck in Switzerland, as I mentioned, and I can't travel due to anxiety. I lost my stitching friend, as I mentioned in one of my floss tubes, and yeah, I have one or two people I know that stitch, but they don't really, it's not the same. And yeah, I don't know, there are one or two stitchers in Switzerland, but I think one or two are French speaking and German speaking, and I can't travel, so I can't go and visit them, and they probably can't come and visit me. And we don't have any retreats like you have, or meetings or whatever, and I feel a bit lonely and lost being a stitcher here in Switzerland. I know there's some in Germany, but I wouldn't know where. Germany's quite big compared to Switzerland. Yeah, a stitch too far. It's too far away. Ingeborg. I saw the Flosstube video, DSquared, where everybody came together, Mischievous Stitches, It Is Kismet, don't know all their names, but they all came together and they had a fun evening. They had an evening meal and stitched together, and that must be so much fun. And I would love to go to a stitching retreat, or just meet up with other stitching women, men, whatever, children. Maybe not children, but you know what I mean. It would be lovely to just sit down and stitch and have a laugh and talk about stuff that's now my life. I mean, I know what a prairie schooler is. I didn't know that a year ago. Yeah, it just would. I would like to talk about something I know something about, because I used to have friends that knew what my work was, because I used to have friends that didn't know what the machine draftswoman does or what the software engineer does. So I couldn't talk about work. Now I could talk about stitching, but I don't have any stitching friends. Yeah, I'm a bit lost. Then, talking about Switzerland again. Have you seen the map that Pam and Steph from Just Keep Stitching have put up? It's, I think it was their Flosstube number 12 and 13, where they did a giveaway, and you had to mention where you're from, and they would put a pin in for every stitcher that they found, and I did that for the USA, and they did it for the whole world. And if you haven't seen them yet, go and watch, leave a comment of where you live, and they'll actually go and look on a map and put a pin in. And they're still doing it. I think they've still got the map up. They haven't showed it again. I hope they'll show it again. I would like to see it in detail. I think it's such a fun idea, and they have these very long pins with the yellow bobble at the end. And I put those in, and it was fun to see. Look, we've got so many here, and a cluster there, and then nobody here. And just the way they did it, it was really good. And I think they had fun doing it. Well, Steph put the pins in, and yeah, that's just something you should see. And if you can, leave a comment of where you live, and they'll put it in. And I just think if collecting that is just, it's fun. It's a good idea. Yeah. And another fact about Switzerland and cross stitching. I buy huge amounts of floss just to kit up my project, and I would support my local LNS. We have one LNS in Basel. I've personally never been. My stitching friend, he went for me. Well, he went nearly every week, I think, and he would buy fabric for me, he would buy floss for me. Now, I still support them. I can't get to them. For me, they're just too far away because of my anxiety, and I have to go by car, and you can't park. And I support them in buying Ada. I stitch nearly everything on this cream coloured Ada, and I phoned the woman up. She's an older woman. She's taken over. She's the sister of the woman who I think built up the shop. And I just phoned her up and I said, look, my friend has been coming into your shop and he's bought stuff from me. But yeah, so she knew where I was. And I placed an order for fabric. And I just asked her, like, what kind of fabric do you have? What Ada do you have? What colours do you have? Gave her the sizes for projects that I wanted to do, and she sent it with the mail. So I got a huge package, and it's actually a lot cheaper to buy Ada in my LNS and have it sent to me, even if it's in Basel, it doesn't matter. But floss, one skein, one feeble skein, like this, of DMC in Switzerland, costs between $2 and $3 US. Okay? This. Now, I placed 3 orders on 123 Stitch. Each time a huge bag full of floss. I have to stay under a certain amount of dollars, otherwise it gets stuck in customs here in Switzerland, and then they go through it, and then I have to pay customs on it. It's not I don't want to pay customs on it, but the post office puts a whole fee on top, just that they had to go and show it to customs, and they bill me that, so it would be too expensive. That's why I have to stay under a certain amount of dollars. So I had to place 3 different orders to get all the floss that I needed, and I actually worked it all out, and the 3 shipments, including shipping and everything, one skein of floss then costs between 60 and 70 cents US for one of these, compared to $2 to $3 US. So just think about that, just for a minute. Let it sink in. That's absolute nonsense, because DMC is for... They actually do it in France. France is that way. I would say 800 meters. 800 meters that way. France. And this is made in France. And I have to pay prices that are... Yeah. And I have to order it in the US. Ship it back to Switzerland. And it goes halfway around the world until it gets to me. And I have to order it in the US to get it for a price that I think is fair. It's just, yeah. So as you can see, my list is, yeah, that was the short one, because I ordered for a friend as well. So it's just, yeah. Anyway, so now I've spent so much money on my floss and my one piece of fabric. I think I need a few finishes for my Stitch from Stash. Yeah, maybe, who knows. I've got time. I'm lonely. And then I watch TV instead of stitching because I'm lonely. Yeah, I said that. Lots of you wanted to know why Frosty. Why I chose the name Frosty. Well, after I finished my training to be a software engineer, I switched immediately from being machine draftswoman. I went to Optometry, and we didn't work on laptops then. Everybody still had one of their standalone computers that are basically linked together then, and each computer had a name. Now, the guy sitting just opposite me, his name's Ken, and they gave his computer the name Barbie. I don't know if that's... I just think it's so funny. Every time I think about that, I actually have to laugh. So I don't think he actually knew. He's one of these... Yeah, he's a real nerd. I don't think he actually knows what a Barbie doll is. And his name's Ken, and I named his computer Barbie, which I just think is just so funny. So, I don't know if you get it, but it's just... when I heard that, I just had to laugh. It was just... Yeah, the guys have a good sense of humour. Yeah, the other guy sitting on the other side, his name was Chicken. His real name was not Chicken, but his name was Chicken, so his computer name was Chicken. We had Sly. We had Keep the Bite. We had Dexter. Dexter was my boyfriend's computer's name. His name's not Dexter, it's Tony. Yeah. And my computer had the name Frosty. Now, they didn't know me when I started there, and my computer name was Frosty. Now, I know that when you don't know me, I do come over a bit cool and maybe a bit, yeah, off-putting. So I could be considered Frosty. But once you get to know me, you know that I'm actually the opposite. And then a few weeks later, I actually found out that one of the guys who named my computer is my father's cousin. I tell you, Switzerland's small. Actually, the whole world is small. But it was really, his last name is the same name as mine. And they sort of said, you know, do you know each other? We sort of looked at each other and said, no. You're not related? No. And I sort of went to my parents one evening and I said, do we know a Mark? Yeah. And my dad said, no. Wait, yes, we do. On one of my granddad's brother lives in France. He has 2 sons. One of his sons is called Mark. And he should be a bit older than me. And I said, well, then I'm working with my dad's cousin, who's nearly the same age as me. Who knew? Yeah, my dad actually worked in my company as well. Not very long, for a year maybe, half a year, don't know. My brother worked in my company as well. But they all left, and I stayed on. I was in a different section of it anyway, so it didn't really matter. But we had lots of people that either then... I was one of 4 women who worked in the technical department of our company. The other was secretaries or whatever, and I don't really count them. They were part of the company, but being in the technical department was something different. And 3 of us, well, one of them got married to one of my bosses. I am my boyfriend, the same company. The girl from support, she dated one of my team members. And the fourth, no, she didn't. Yeah, but sorry about that, my camera somehow just stopped working. Anyway, there was this other girl, she was sort of half in the technical department, but not quite. And she started going out with my direct boss. And they're married now as well. So I don't know what it is about that company. But I said we were a big family. So who knows. Yeah, anyway. Back to my computer. My computer was named Frosty. So I somehow took that over as my login name. I logged in as Frosty. Not as Dawn or Days, Ramsay or whatever, I just used Frosty. And I then took that over into email and whatever. And yeah, when you're sort of in the software world, when you're a hacker or a gamer or in a demo scene, you have a handle, and like I said, chicken. I don't know what Tony's handle was. It wasn't Dexter. Was it? No, it wasn't. Yeah, everybody had sort of their hacker name, their gamer name, their demo name, whatever. And I just took over Frosty because it was just there. And I used to have, in my profile picture was always the snowflake, because that's what I sort of put into it. And yeah, it just stuck with me. Frosty just stuck with me. Frosty is my name. Frosty belongs to me. And it's a lot better than Pulp Fiction. Because, yeah, my name's Dawn, and Dawn is an English name. And in Switzerland, they don't really know how to say Dawn. It's pretty difficult. They go down or dawn, down, down, whatever. And I was once out in a nightclub with friends from school. Also from the further school that I did when I went to computer science. And I was there with friends, and these twins come along, and I kept saying hello to them. I knew that they know my friend, and so they then sort of asked, you know, what's your name? And I said Dawn, and it was really loud. Music was really loud, so they didn't really hear. And my friend said, look, it's really easy, you know, there's this cult film From Dusk Till Dawn. And I said, oh yeah, cult film From Dusk Till Dawn, yeah, Dawn, oh, Dawn's your name, oh yeah. So off they go down to the dance floor, and about an hour later they come back, they're drunk, and they say, wait, your name was, and my friend goes, cult film? And I say, oh yeah, Pulp Fiction! Yeah, no, my name's not Pulp Fiction. So Frosty, I think, is a lot better, easier. So I've got the domain frosty.cc. CC belongs to some sort of island. There's two groups of islands that have the same name. One is in a, oh, I don't know the seas. Anyway, they're completely on the opposite side of the world. Have the same name, different domain names. Mine is frosty.cc. Anyway, so I don't know how long my video is now. It's probably very long and not very Stitchy related, but you now know a lot about me, and I don't mind sharing about any of this because I talk about it. I can. There was a time when I couldn't, I couldn't talk about it because I was ashamed. Then I couldn't talk about it because every time I talked about anxiety, I got an anxiety panic attack. Now I can talk about it. I talk about it when I'm asked. I don't have a problem with it. And I just wanted to say a huge thank you to everybody who looks out for me in the stitching community, and there's quite a lot of people there who don't know me, but they watch my Flosstube or they read a comment on Facebook or Instagram and I leave a comment, and you don't know how much it means to me. It's heartwarming, and sometimes I really just have to cry because the warmth and the community, it's there, and we're all over the world and we don't know each other, but somehow we do. And lots of cross stitchers have anxiety or depression, and I think it's nice that we can share it and we're not judged. And so thank you to everybody who's out there listening to me, leaving a comment, just putting a thumbs up, a like, subscribe, whatever. I'll try to keep my floss tubes more stitching related next time, but hopefully by next time I won't be in such a slump anymore and I can talk about different things. So we'll see. And for somebody special out there who is working on Get Kraken, who doesn't have snow at home, how do you like my picture? It's an original painting. It's one of my collection. As I said, I used to collect art. I still have lots of art. I haven't sold any yet. It's an original painting done by a Swiss painter, and it's a farm in the snow in winter, and I put it up last October, November, and well, I was too depressed to take it down. Usually during summer I have a different picture up there, so it is still there, and now I don't need to change it because the weather's quite cool. We had a drop of temperature about 2 weeks ago of about 14 degrees from one day to the next, and since then it's dropped even further. So I think we're now finally in autumn. I like autumn. Autumn's my favourite time of year, next to Christmas and winter. Yeah, but I love winter. I love winter pictures, and I love my painting, and it's an original. So yeah. Anyway, that's it from me. And if you've stuck through all of this, I'm really sorry that I didn't put very much stitching in it. I'll try to do better next time. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Just put a like. The more likes I get, I'm happy. I don't actually look, but it does just help to know that somebody's watched my video. And even if you only watch 5 minutes, it doesn't matter. It's just somebody is out there. I'm not alone. It does help. It really does help. Thank you to Stitchy Bex for sending me her stuff. And Sarah, if you're still here, please direct message me your address and I'll get that in a post for you as a belated birthday present. Who knows? Yeah, thank you to everybody out there. I'll see you probably in 2 weeks. Have a lovely time stitching. Bye. Hello, this is Frosty, reporting live from Switzerland, Basel, where nothing ever happens.